Alrighty folks, so this week we are going to review a golf course in Kentucky. I believe this course is in Lexington. It's the University of Kentucky golf course, which is just off, I believe it's I-64, west of I-75, down in Lexington. It is a dual course. There are two courses there. One, I believe, is called Wildcat, and the other one is, I can't remember the name of it. It's called Blue Bull or something like that. I can't remember the exact name. But first, I owe you a review of the first course I played of the two, which was Wildcat. Now, Wildcat is approximately 6,500 yards. It is more of a woods course, and it is a nice course in and of itself. It has a decent layout. I wouldn't say it's very long, but it's decently long. It's decently tight. It's not too tight. Not really a bad course. Actually, a pretty decent course in and of itself, but it is not in the greatest of condition. There's a lot of places in the fairway where the fairway grass is browned out, died out. The greens were in, the first two or three holes, the greens were really not good at all. It's been a long time since I've seen, greens that had, weeds in them. Where you get the part of the greens where it grows up and it looks almost like the bottom of a wildflower or sunflower, like a dandelion or something like that. This course had some greens like that. Some greens were not in great condition, some greens were in okay condition, and some greens were in decent condition. So it was a mixture. But overall, the course was, I would say, I'd give it like a C- on condition, except for the fact that it did have nice waste in some places, and it basically looked okay. I mean, if you didn't look at it too harshly, you would be fairly decently impressed with it. It wasn't bad looking course. It definitely had a nice layout, but it was only like if you looked at it hard. If you got to the green and started looking at it hard, you would see significant bare spots or green. It certainly hadn't been aerated any time in the last 2 years. So conditions wise, I would say the course was not great, but it played okay. I mean, really, it just kind of goes to show you don't need a really great maintenance job to have a decent golf course. This course was definitely like that. Now, the slope of this course was somewhere in the low 130s. I forget exactly. I'll have to dig it up and post it on the display. But it was a decently challenging course. It wasn't super hard. It wasn't outrageously tough. I'd say it was comfortably difficult from the back tees. None of the holes were really much more over 400 yards. There were some par 4s and par 5s and so forth. Par 3s were usually about 175 from the back tees. It was a pretty straightforward, slightly better than average, slightly tougher than average, moderately difficult 130-yard slope course. And the price was, I think it was $45 for that course on the weekend with a cart. And it was a decent course. I mean, I think that it was one of those courses where I could go back and play that course again and be happy. There was undoubtedly two different characteristics to the course. There was the front side and there was the back side. The front side was really a basic beaters course. Although I still wouldn't say it was bad. It was still, even the part of it that was less than appealing eye-wise was still decent. There was a fair amount of water on it, a fair amount of verticality, nice shots on the course, not too tight, not too wide open, not too challenging, not too hard, and it really was a decent course. It just wasn't as good as the other course. And I think on like the 6th hole or something of that course of Wildcat, there is a bathroom which is shared with like the 7th hole, or is it the 13th hole of the other course, the big bull or something like Blue Bull. I don't know. I think something like that. And you can see the Blue Bull course is this big, wide, open spread course with low tree to fairway ratio, and it's just this almost country club kind of course. And this course is like this scruffy redheaded stepchild of a course compared to it. But if you don't look at the other course, it's actually not bad. I actually had a fair amount of fun playing Wildcat. I thought it was a nice round, nice challenge. Definitely from the back tee, some of the shots were definite challenges. There's no question that the course was a good, decent challenge of a course. I would not undersell this course. If it was there by itself, I would say that it would be about a B course and a decent course to play. I would still say, okay, maybe it's not the kind of course you want to drive 500 miles out of your way to play, but it's still quite a decent course to play. I enjoyed it. I took quite a few pictures. The only problem I really had with the course was that when I played it, there were, let's say, a number of younger players, college age players and so forth, that are out there playing, 6s and 7s and 8s on the course, holding the course up in certain places. So, there were other players that came out like me, they were playing 2s and 3s, and we basically circled around, behind them. I think there were 2 6s and 7s on the course, and there were a couple times when, I saw them, I'd come up behind them, and I just circled around back, and of course went back and played the last 2 holes again. The guys that were behind me went up and played up behind them and just sat and waited and waited. And then they ended up circling around behind. We all ended up circling around to get off the course. I think on 14, 15, 16, 17, there were like 4 people, 2 foursomes, 2 twosomes and another single guy and me. And we ended up just circling around 2 or 3 times to get off the course behind them. But that was okay. It was late in the day. The weather was gorgeous. It was a really nice day to play golf. It was a little hot, certainly, but not killer hot. There were some bugs out there, certainly, but not killer bugs. And the good thing about this course, which I think really makes it quite a good course to play, is that there aren't any houses on the course. I think you might see like 2 or 3 back in the woods in certain parts of the course, now that I remember correctly. But generally, almost no houses on the course. Very little road noise, except for the 1 or 2 holes that are right near the road that passes by the outside of the course. There's an access road that comes off this road. I think it's like 462 or something like that. State Highway 462 that comes off of it, that runs parallel to I-64. And there is some traffic, the occasional car going by. It's a 55-mile-an-hour road. There's occasional car going by, occasional truck, and you can hear them, if you're right there on that side of the course, you can hear them passing by the course, and they're moderately distracting. It's not like they're right there. The course does come fairly close to the road, but it's not like they're right there in your face. It's not like there's a lot of cars, and it wasn't bad. On a Saturday, pretty casual traffic. And otherwise, a lot of these holes, you're back there in the woods. It's just you and the birds and the trees and stuff, and you're back there playing. And if it wasn't for these jackasses who were back out there playing 6s and 7s, and in some cases making a lot of noise, and obviously in some cases playing with their stereos or radios or phones, whatever, playing in their car, it would have been an almost idyllic golf experience. It really was a fun course to play. You just didn't have to worry too much about putting. I'm not going to say that the putting was awesome on this course. It wasn't bad on a lot of the holes. It was okay on some, and 1 or 2 was like, God, Jesus. But basically, if you're playing close to the pin, it's not going to be a big deal. If you need to chip over some rough spots in the green, not going to be a big deal. It's not like you absolutely need to have pristine greens to have a good time playing golf. Not at all. Same thing with the fairways, not at all. It's just you need enough decent grass out there to play, and that's fine. If you've ever played a course where it's a links course or a course that's hot and baked in the summer where the grass is all brown, and in some places it's bare, it's worn off by carts and things like that. This course was nothing like that. It just had the occasional parts where maybe even had a little bit too much water in some parts, and it had cost them some consistency in the fairways and greens. Otherwise, a really nice course. That's the Wildcat course at the University of Kentucky and in Lexington, on the north side of Lexington. Very nice course. I give it a B rating. Well, maybe a B minus. Okay, let's just say B minus, but still not a bad rating.